Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you're currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by Foil Hatman, Refracted Curvature, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Morning.
Hello.
Hey.
Good morning.
Good morning. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Well, you'd probably have to get an angle if you're a heliocentrist. That means you need a flat Earth to get the distance to the sun in the heliocentrism religion.
What are you saying? You're going to need a flat Earth for that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I put out a whole bunch of videos off the back of Friday's show. So, depending on your taste in length, I suppose, there's a 30-minute version, 2 for 1. Shout out to Godzilla37 for smashing the super chat. He says, "Oh, it's live. Won't be fooled again. Wondered why you didn't read my super chats the other day, lol." Well, thank you for both of them. Sorry I didn't see the other one to read it out, Godzilla37. Thank you for smashing the super chat right now. Really appreciate it. Yeah, so check them out. They're all called similar names, words to the effect of Orbits Prove a Flat Earth. And there's a short, which is less than 60 seconds long. There's a 10-minute version with the most concise I could make the full discussion with one of the two, what would we call them? Globe proponents? Anyway, whatever we're going to call them. But then there's a third, the 30-minute full, pretty much uncut version back to back. So how it was as live, just not all the fluff that came before, none of the housekeeping questions, just those two debates. So there's 3 versions of the same essential discussion about how orbits prove a flat Earth. Now, somebody in the comments, when this video is one of them was airing, said, "All right, that's your claim. You say orbits prove a flat Earth, define orbits." And I said, no, I'm afraid not. Someone came to us with a claim of orbits, and we pointed out how their globular claim of orbits required a flat plane. This isn't a positive assertion that I'm going to be making. Why would I be asserting orbits as a flat earther? I'm not. But your orbits that you assert as globe believers require a flat Earth as a plane of reference. Earth is flat. As is the case with the distance to the stars, also derived from flat plane measurements on the equatorial plane using the dome of the presented view that you have of the stars. That is how it is done. You're going to need a globe for almost anything that's claimed to be measured in globe world. Flat Earth is going to be required. Every single time. Great year to be a flat earther, I would say.
Maybe instead of distance to the sun, could it just be any celestial distance?
I like distance to the sun, though, because it's the one that gets quoted the most, right? Your 93 million mile away sun is fairly well known by your average Joe normie. If I asked man on the street, what's the distance to the sun, there's a reasonable chance that he would actually say 93 million miles.
But even with the stars, right? And they want to assert that the light's coming in parallel, it's still coming in parallel to a plane for them to get the angle.
Yeah. You're going to need a flat Earth for the angle measurement to the sun. to any of the celestial items, they're all utilizing the same exact system off the equatorial plane. There is no exception. You're going to need a flat earth for it. Might as well shout it from the hilltops.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting the guy went on to deny that his plane of reference, the plane he was referencing, existed at all.
Yeah, they think it's imaginary. They're referencing a plane. That's the ground you're standing on to talk about the stars and your view from that ground. And when you describe them, with angles for the sake of argument, you describe them with reference to the plane. Now, when they do exactly that, because as you put it, John, and this will go down in history, you need a flat plane more than we do. So that when they assert orbital mechanics, because I'm not asserting it, and neither is John, as he pointed out in that discussion, this isn't our positive claim. We're not claiming to have the cause of orbits. You are claiming orbits, and when you claim orbits, you need a flat plane to reference to describe them. That's the end of that discussion, because you're going to need a flat Earth for it. Orbits, that is. And almost everything we're going to discuss from this point forward. Moving into 2024, you're going to be damn sure about hearing any claim that comes out of a globe believer's mouth being pointed out how it needs a flat Earth first.
Well, in essence, his response to needing a flat plane is to say, the basis for my claim is imaginary, so my entire claim is imaginary.
Exactly. But not just imaginary about something globe-shaped. The starting point to assert you're on a globe by reification is to imagine a very big flat plane. That's just starting point. So you can call it imagination when we're measuring, navigating, and dealing with mapping reality. And you can say that the plane we measure and deal with and navigate and move along is just imaginary because it's a flat plane. But we're going to be referencing that flat plane, and so will you for your orbits. Share your pain in the comments, globe believers. It's all over but for the crying.
Yeah, it is. That's he wanted to go on to assert a tangent, which needed a flat plane as well to assert that a tangent exists below surface level. They're on the other side of the mirror.
Any evidence that you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline?
Never.
Not that I'm aware of.
Does not compute.
Okay, so ever since my first foray into this subject, Math Powerland has been talking about turning telescopes horizontal. And today we've got a presentation from Foil Hatman. And here is his depiction of his very nice telescope, Celestion, being horizontal. So we're not going to be looking at the stars through this telescope today. But what we are going to do is have a little recap of last Wednesday's foray into this far, far away land we call Earth in the 10-mile distance that we're going to be looking at it. So I've got your telescope on screen as the first slide if you want to recap last week, Tinfoil Hatman.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone from here in the UK. Much love and respect to you all. Thank you for having me again.
It's a pleasure.
Calling this... Sorry?
It's a pleasure. I know it was rhetorical. I waited the right. Timing is everything.
Likewise, Nathan. I'm calling this presentation Seabank Power Station and Friends, Bristol Channel, England. Please feel free to interject if anyone wishes to ask me anything. For those that do not know who I am TFHM, aka Tinfoil Hatman. Apparently, I'm a complete nutter. Someone who just doesn't understand. Someone who knows not what he is talking about. Far be it from me to concur with this, I'll simply let you all be the judge as to whether this is a true reflection of me or not. Certainly my wife at times doth agree with this sentiment. And for clarity, should any of you see just an average guy on a beach somewhere in the UK with an absolute beast of a telescope, up a ladder, wearing a Mexican sombrero hat, know that that is me. Contrary to popular opinion, the hat is not for fancy dress. It's for keeping lens flare and reflections away from the eyepiece of the Seeker telescope. As it turns out, there is actually method in the madness.
Sorry, did I just pick up on you saying you do actually wear a tinfoil hat when you're doing this stuff?
A Mexican sombrero hat.
Oh, okay, fine.
It's big and it keeps the lens flare off the
No,
eyepiece.
that makes total sense. I understand that.
Okay, right. So Nathan, I've uploaded all of the pics for this presentation into Master B. You see these?
Yeah, I've got your telescope up now.
Okay. First part of this presentation is a brief recap from last Wednesday, necessary for both those that watched last week's show as well as those that didn't. And again, you'll just have to excuse me. I'm still just trying to shake this cold. This is due to the pics and video footage you're about to view being from that same date, time, and location. Okay, let's get straight into this. Pick 1, this is my observation equipment, the Truth Seeker telescope. In case anyone was wondering, the Gatling gun on the side is a class 4B 450 NM blue laser. It has a range of around 20 miles. Pick 2, next Nathan, this is our location view from the 22nd of August. Pick 3, the Truth Seeker's observer height was set at 1 meter above ground level. Pick 4, another view of that location. Again, Nathan, just to confirm, I can't actually see what you're, so I'm just going to assume that you're looking at pick 5
Indeed.
now.
Yes.
This was the, so pick 5, this should be the direction we were looking in for Flatholm Lighthouse, as discussed last week. You should see in the distance a couple of little isles. Are we in the right picture here?
Yeah.
Pick 6, next. Showing the distance to that lighthouse and importantly, showing the direction we were facing. Pick 7, showing our precise location and elevation. We were located directly on the seabed at an elevation of 0 meters, bottom right. Pick 8, showing a zoomed in snapshot of that location. And for clarity, last week I misspoke when I said this was Google Earth's maximum zoom. It is actually possible to zoom in a little further than that picture shows. Pick 9. This is actually a screenshot taken from a 35-minute 4K video recording from that location. Pick 10, showing a closer, more zoomed in image, again taken from that same video recording. Pick 11. I'm going to assume a lot of you have seen this as a typical representation of a, quote, boat going over the horizon. So let's just turn our attention back to the second picture, Nathan. Could you just go back to picture number 2?
Sure.
Which represents our location view in almost the opposite direction now of Flatholm Lighthouse. You see this?
Yep.
So in that picture, Nathan, pick 2, you'll notice that the tide has gone out and my wife and I shot video footage right the way from the top left part of the image, you know, the bit where the land juts out, panning all the way around and down to the right-hand side of picture number 5. So picture number 5 should be the one with the rocks on the right-hand side now. Do you see this?
Yep.
So basically we did almost like, I don't know, like what you'd call it, a 180 sweep. So, excuse me, pick 12. This should be the Wikipedia entry for Seabank Power Station. Do you see this, Nathan?
Yep.
It doesn't contain any useful height or elevation info, but if you load up Google Earth, you can hover around the topography for that area and see that its chimneys are 70 meters in height. There's a building to the right of it that's 30 meters in height, amongst other useful topography data. Anyway, more on that shortly. Pick 13. This shows the distance data from our observer location to the power station itself, which was just short of 10 miles. Are you seeing this, Nathan?
Yes.
Next pick, 14, showing the distance data to the A4037 road, located directly in front of that power station, directly in our line of sight. Again, this distance, you'll see at the bottom, was just short of 10 miles at 9.64 miles to be exact. You see this?
Yes.
Pick 15, next pick. Somewhat ironically, Google Maps showing an articulated lorry at the exact same spot you were about to see. No such thing as coincidence, right, guys? Oh, and please note that when I use the term guys, I am in fact using it to include everybody, both male and female.
We
I
don't.
just
We don't
like
care
the
about
term.
that. Don't worry
But
about
I
those.
don't like the term folks or peeps. So
we don't care.
I mean,
Don't worry about that.
okay. Pick 16. That should be detailing the topography of that area of the A403 road, which, if you can see, is 8 meters above sea level, and you'll see in the bottom right that that's displaying that. Next pick, pick 17. That's a picture detailing the topography of the power station, which itself sits on a foundation of 5 meters above sea level. So behind the A403 road then. Do you see that?
Yes.
Pick 18, next pick. This is the Omni-Earth curvature calculator. It's important to note that the geometric horizon, according to the fixed and definitive model of the globe, as presented to us, can be no more than 1.225 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. In this specific case, then, the obscured object part of the image you're about to see should be 11.2 meters. Apologies also, because I prefer meters to feet as well. Pick 19, the next pick, showing the obscured part for Seabank Power Station, which is nearly 12 meters. Okay, to the point then. Pick 20, next pick. So, the yellow articulated lorry you see here should not be visible according to the globe model. To the best of my knowledge, the average height of an articulated lorry here in the UK is around the 3 to 3.5 meter mark. So add that to the 8 meter elevation above sea level of that road, and we clearly do not live on a globe.
Cool.
Next pick. Sorry?
They're cool.
Next pick, pick 21. Showing the obscured object part for that lorry. Again, 11.2 meters. According to Walter Bislin's very fraudulent and very deceiving advanced Earth curvature calculator without any of the mathematical only refraction he has decided to apply. Pick 22, the next pick. Now with him applying some of that standard mathematical only refraction, yet unbelievably still showing that nearly 9 meters of that image, pick 20, should not be visible. Pick 23 next, Nathan. Now going hell for leather with his extreme mathematical refraction settings in order to magically bring the articulated lorry back into the observer's direct line of sight. At this setting then, amazingly, everything simply pops back up into view. At this point, Nathan, excuse me, I was unable to upload the video footage I have due to the upload size limitation of Skype. And so we'll need to share my screen at this stage in order to view it. So can we
Yeah,
go
that's
ahead and
okay.
do this now?
Yeah, if you sort that out, I can provide the audience with some background music. Dun, dun,
Well,
dun, 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 dun. Go ahead, John.
I was going to say, interestingly enough, in that calculator, which if you're trying to figure out the Earth curve or whatever they want to call it now, eye level and surface level are utilized as horizontal planes in that calculator, not as a curving Earth.
Amazing. You see this, Nathan?
Yes. Did you pick up on what John just said? It's one of the points I'm going to cover later as well, John. But did you hear what I know you did?
I didn't hear it.
That's fine.
Fully.
We will come back
Sorry,
to it.
John, I was just doing something else. So
No, that's
I'm
fine.
sorry, I didn't
We
hear
will
it.
come back to it and cover it shortly. All the aspects
You
of what
don't
you're
actually need to hear it to know what it's going to be. It's going to be you're going to need a flat Earth for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
as John-
yes. But we will explain why. That's just saying that doesn't mean a lot, Arwin. But yes, right. We've got your image on screen now.
Okay,
Foil
so just before I play this video, which is 6.5 minutes long, it's a section of the 35-minute 4K video recording that I have, panning the whole of that area. The first, just briefly, just to explain, last week I was trying to explain how this first observation, the iPhone was actually spinning physically with the zoom as you zoom in and out. So what's happened here is if you look in the top right, this is VLC. So this now is a screen recording. And what I'm trying to do here is when the image zooms in and out, I'm trying to wrestle with these controls just to try and stop it from going upside down, so that you all don't have to stand up and look at it upside down when it zooms. So you kind of will see.
If you can start playing it, because obviously it's 6.5 minutes long, so you can be explaining all this as we're going along rather than us doing it while it's just on a still. Just hit play and we'll talk as we go, because otherwise we're going to have a lot of dead air.
No problem. Just if you keep your eye on that top right though, you're going to miss the main event. Okay. All that remains for me to say then is everyone look and say goodbye to the globe. So this is about 10 miles away. You can check all this and verify this in Google Earth, Google Maps. I've put all my observer location details. They're all available. And we're about to start panning right, and we will hit Seabank Power Station, which you'll see that yellow articulated lorry.
You can see lots of traffic.
Yeah. So this is just short of 10 miles away. This now is C-Bank, and do you see this yellow articulated lorry coming now into view, which is what the snapshot was of pick 20, yeah? So you'll see it come into view. You see? There it is. C-Bank. We know that this is 8 meters. We know this is about 3.5. Supposedly there's 11.2 meters not visible, but we see everything. So what I'm probably going to do now, like I say, if you go onto Google Earth and put the coordinates in of our observer location and then shoot across, you'll be able to pan and note precisely everything that you're looking at. As we pan right, everything that's coming into view, you can get a distance to it, and you can, for a lot of it, you can get height data for it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to shut up. I'm going to let the video play until we hit the 4-minute 51 mark, which is 4 minutes 51 seconds mark, which is an important point.
Cool.
But yeah, just watch. Hopefully you're getting a good resolution. Here we go.
So we had John's reactions in the pre-show. So obviously, if you remember, check it out, because we got to see it for the first time while we were queuing all this up, this presentation. But what we went through with Foil Hatman was explaining the nitty-gritty of what we're seeing. Well, there isn't actually any explanation required whatsoever from a flat Earth perspective. The only thing that, from a debating point of view, that needs to be addressed is in Foil Hatman's presentation, he's got some globe mathematics that require a flat plane to assert. In terms of this, which is fantastic, very clear, great imagery, we're seeing this stuff because it's there. We don't have to disclaim that we're not having something obscure our view of it. Looking at lorries 10 miles away, it is that simple. Across the flat plane, goes without saying. Earth is flat.
Yeah, and the actual assertion, if you wanted to be in line with the geometry that they're using, would be they're asserting a physical geometric obstruction to the plane of reference, which sounds silly when you say it that way. That's why they always ask us about our physical obstruction, because they're the one that's using the plane of reference to physically obscure things. It's a burden reversal and a claim reversal.
And a hijacking a perspective that leaves them in a position where they may also ask you, a flat earther, why can't we see New York from Ireland? And the answer is because it's too small. The angular resolution is far too narrow to see at that distance. Thousands of miles, for God's sake. Things get smaller as they recede into the distance. But in their Earth curve mathematics, they have no answer for that. And because they have no answer from that, the burden of proof reversal fallacy leads them to ask us why we can't see New York from Ireland. Oh, well, because they're going to assert that Earth curve's gone in the way. Well, in reality, why would I be asking the question at all? Well, I wouldn't as a flat earther. I've got no need to assert that the horizon's a physical geometric sphere edge blocking things when it doesn't block things, as we're being shown here. As I say, as a flat earther, I don't need to make any claim. Why do we see it? Well, because we've got eyeballs? Because we've got a telescope looking at it? I don't really understand why you're asking me this. Well, it shouldn't really be there, says the globe believer. Should it not? But I'm seeing it. There it is. Why would you assert such nonsense as I'm not supposed to be seeing something I can see with my own 2 eyes? Oh, because you, the globe believer, believe that there should be a physical geometric sphere edge at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet blocking our view of this stuff. But there isn't. Oh, what's that? But you can explain why there isn't. I couldn't care less. Your fantasy of a hill getting in the way is not really relevant to me when I just see something in the distance.
Yes, but Nathan, I'm looking at this footage now and I saw the building wobble. So that means it's a mirage. So that means it's terrestrial refracted looming image.
You'll need
that's
a flat
actually behind the curve.
You'll need a flat plane to derive. One or other of us has got to do this to him. You go ahead, John. You take the pleasure away from Arwin.
No, you do it. You do it. I've already done the Earth curve.
You're going to need a flat plane to derive a radial value, Arwin. to a certain.
Yeah.
What do you mean, yeah? If you're going to say, well, it's just solved with 7/6 of the radius value, when I explain why we're not seeing a physical geometric sphere edge at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. In fact, it's a non-standard refraction high in a holographic projection of a power station from behind the reified geometric sphere edge that is actually an obstruction across a flat plane derived from eye level and surface level differential calculations in our maths that excludes perspective. However, we can see the building moving, therefore it's refraction, at a rate of 7/6r, as demonstrated by Foil Hatman in his presentation, or any derivative thereof. But any derivative thereof, an r value, will be taken from a flat plane measurement to give you that r value, Arwin. So no, it's not just yeah.
Well, it has to be from a flat plane if it's refracted, you know?
That's true also. But we're talking about terrestrial 7/6 of a radius, globe believing, derived from flat plane differential calculation from eye level and surface level refraction, aren't we?
Right, but a glober could think of the flat plane being apparent and then just using that, not thinking of it as geometric.
It gets better. Oh, it gets better than apparent. It gets better, Arwin. At the moment, we're being told, or I am being told, I don't know about we, the royal we, are being told that the imaginary reference plane that's flat is where their starting point is. So just to break that down, the globe believers are currently telling us that, oh yes, we must reference a flat plane, but that flat plane that we reference, the reference plane that is flat, is imaginary when we reference it. That's what they're saying.
I told you they would go there.
Well, not.
Right?
It's worse. I'm nearly done. So they're saying, when I want to tell you that I reify my world into a physical ball-shaped place, I will start by imagining a really big plane that I'll reference. Now, in reality, we're talking about reality and standing on the ground and referencing a plane. There's no other, convolution or delusion that needs to take place when you are on the ground, you are talking about the stars, you are navigating, and you do have a reference plane, because that's how it all works. Then there's no ambiguity. It's just you're referencing the flat Earth that you dwell atop. For them, well, yeah, you're referencing the flat Earth that we tell atop. That goes without saying, but that bit's imaginary, because I imagine a ball below it. The reference plane that's imaginary, I've got a ball below that imaginary reference plane. And that's the real bit. The imaginary ball below the imaginary flat plane I must start with is the real bit. You clear? That's what we're being told.
Well, when you say it like that, it sounds a little convoluted.
Very. Well, you've got to solve your pain somehow if you're a ball believer.
Do you see this? Do you see
Yes.
this image? Okay, so what's been happening is we've been, if you can see my mouse here, excuse me. We've been panning down, okay? We've been coming down here. Now we've just gone past 2 wind turbines, these 2. So we're panning down. We've just come past all these units, these commercial buildings. We've just come down all these silo containers. Then notice this. See this down here at the bottom left? That's a channel outlet. Okay? So because I'm controlling the screen, Nathan, I'm just going to load these pictures up. So just bear with me. So here we go. So the distance from our observer location, bear in mind we're at 0 meter, 1 meter observer height with this truth seeker scope. We're shooting across here now. And do you see what we've been doing? That part that juts out there was the location picture view, that what I was telling you, where it juts out. So we started recording from here. And that's where the train was. You'll see. You cannot check all this out for yourselves. There's a train line and a road because there was a lot of traffic. You saw it. We saw the train. We saw the traffic. It's this road basically. We've been panning down here, so we've hit the Seabank power station. We've been coming down, and basically now we're at 4 minutes 51 seconds in the video. We're now here, and we're looking directly at that channel outlet. But notice the distance: 8.81 miles. So the start of it up here was just short of 10 miles to this road. And then as you're coming down, you're just losing a little bit of distance as you go all the way around here, okay? So let me load the next pickup. So pick 27 now. Zoomed in so you can better see the outlet. So you see this outlet now here? You're seeing this, right?
Yeah, well, I can see what's on what you're sharing, but you're going to have to be a bit more specific about what you mean by the outlet. Do you mean the greyish bit on the middle of the frame on the left-hand
hang
side?
on. Yep, okay, no problem. Just hang on. So we go to next picture, 28.
Are you talking?
Now we're right into the outlet.
Hold on. Am I supposed to be putting these pictures up, or are we looking at what you are presenting?
Well, the problem is if I want to then go back and play the video, we're going to have to come in and out of sharing. So would you like me to just carry on like this, Nathan?
That's not my question. Should I be presenting, or should you? Currently, I've got your image on screen. Should I be presenting something because you're giving me picture numbers, which makes me think I should be putting things on screen?
Oh no, sorry. I'm just no, I apologize. I'm just doing it now. So I'm just saying pick 28 because I've got them all listed in this order.
Okay.
So, but I'm happy to just carry on like this if you're good with that.
Yeah, it's on screen, so fine. Go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah. Right. So this is picture 28. So what we're doing now is we've zoomed right into that water outlet, and as you can see, this section here is 0 centimeters. Okay. You see down here? It's 0. So we're 8.81 miles across the other side at 0 with 1 meter observer height with the Truth Seeker scope. And we're now looking at where I've paused it in the video at 4 meters 51 at this outlet. Okay. The next image I'll show you. So now it's showing the side outlets.
I'm still seeing the same image.
Yes, but you see 3 meters now because you see these 2 side outlets. The previous image was showing that here is 0. You see,
you're saying here, I can't see a mouse. I've got the exact same. Nothing's changed. You've said you've gone through 3 images. Nothing's changed on my screen.
Right, apart from down in the bottom right here, which is now showing that the 2 side outlets are 3 meters in height.
Tinfoil, nothing is changing on the share screen.
Isn't it?
No. I think.
And that's going to create problems. So what I'm going to do then is I'll just continue playing the video. Just note that I've stopped the video. Do you now see the video? Are we back to the video? Are you seeing this?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So what we'll do is,
we can just
back.
I can see a real little mouse pointer.
But you can't see the actual video.
No, we can see the video in the center, but either side it's black.
The video is fine. Just play. If you can just play the video, please.
Yeah, I'll play it. All you need to know is that this relates to that channel outlet.
We heard this. Please, please, just press play, please.
Yeah, I'll play the video. Once it ends, I will give the screen back to you, Nathan, and we can go back through the pictures, and then I'll explain it. Okay. That's the best way to do it.
Okay, but now it's playing. This is the point to be talking.
Right, okay. Yeah, well, it's for me and my wife, this was our first observation, and I've had to remove the audio from this because I was beside myself. I could hardly breathe. There were some expletives being used. Basically what's happening is we're looking across just short of 10 miles and we're panning down 9 miles, 8 miles, and everything you can see here is across a dry bed. The tide's gone out. There's no water to hide behind now. So what we're seeing is, and what strikes me as well is this was our first observation, and I could have gone to 254 times magnification, but I wasn't able to because the telephone was butting up against the optical tube assembly. So I could only go maximum 169 times, but it is what it is. And since then, that's what really fired me off to then go, how powerful can I get this scope with actual quality usable imagery? That's the key, isn't it? You know what I mean? Because it's all well and good, like saying, oh, well, yeah, I can zoom in, but it's all blurry and I have absolutely no idea what I'm looking at. So what I'll do now, Nathan, is I'll unshare my screen, or do you just take control back? Let me just stop presenting. So do you have control back now?
Yeah, I'm all good.
Okay, so if you go to I think it was pick 25 now, so you know it must be.
Yeah.
It's the one after the text where I was saying that that's where I'm going to play the video,
Okay.
and then we can go through that channel outlet situation.
Okay. Yeah, got it on screen.
Okay, so pick 25 because I can't see what you're seeing. That relates, and it might be quite small and everything because I have a 4K display, so it might be quite small. But what's happening is the telescope is panning down, and you'll see if you can zoom in a little bit, you'll see at the top center of the image there's two wind turbines. There's one sort of behind each other. So we see those wind turbines. We come down, and then we see the commercial units and the buildings, and then we see the silo containers. And then right down at the very bottom left, can you see that channel outlet, Nathan? Small, but you can see it, yeah? So if you then go on to the next picture, that's what I was trying to show you, that from our observer location, 1 meter observer height, that channel outlet is 8.81 miles from our observer location, okay? The next picture, pick 27, hopefully now we're sort of back in line with the images. That's zoomed in so you can better see that outlet. Is that what's happening?
Yes.
Great. So pick 28, we're going to zoom in yet more again. So what you'll notice about that area, right, is directly in front of the outlet is a channel, and it's at 0 meter sea level. That's shown in the bottom right. Do you see? So that place mark that's in front of the channel outlet that's actually on the bed, you see that? It's 0 meters, yes?
Well, it's chucking water out into. When you say outlet, what is it? Because it looks. When you said outlet, I just
I'm not
assumed sort
100%
of
sure, but I think
natural,
it's some sort
like
of.
where a river comes out the side of a hill, whereas this is like two very much man-made looking things. I mean, what is it doing?
You know-
Dumping sewage into
You know
the.
when commercial companies they chuck stuff into the river, don't they? I mean, there's always companies getting fined for dumping sewer into rivers and stuff. I'm not 100% sure. I just know that it's an outlet, and I
yeah,
just
sure,
know.
but the reason I ask is when something's like that man-made and it's designated at 0, I'm pretty certain that that's going to be accurate because it's going to have been planned and built and made, and there it is at 0.
It's directly on the seabed at 0 meters at the other side, 8.81 miles away, Nathan.
Right.
Okay, so what happens is if you then look at the next two pictures, pics 29 and 30, what that's doing is it's showing the side parts of that outlet channel as being 3 meters in height. Again, it'll show you in the bottom right. So outlet 1, and side outlet 2. It's just showing you what those place marks are, you see? So you can see that it's 3 meters high either side. Do you see this?
Yep.
The next picture, that shows the main top part of the outlet, and that's 4 meters in height. However, if you just look closely, if you go back a little bit, it might be just slightly higher than that because there is actually like a lip section of it. But it's about 4 or 5 meters in height. That.
Yeah.
So the next picture. So that's what we were looking at. So the best thing to do now is if I just go back and re-share my screen for that video, okay?
Yes.
So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to send it to 4 minutes 51 and then reshare my screen because that is precisely what we are looking at. Okay. So here we go. 4 minutes 51. Okay. So I'm going to now reshare my screen. So Let me just click this, select the window screen, VLC, allow. Now, do you see back again the video? Hopefully.
Yes, just give me a moment to make it look pretty.
Okay, so I'm not even sure if you could possibly zoom in on that, just digitally zoom via your computer. But do you see what we're looking at? We're looking at that outlet from 8.81 miles away from a 1 meter observer height.
I've got to be honest, I can't distinguish what you're talking about. Where in frame is that outlet?
Nathan, if you look along the sand to just left of the center, you see a dark area.
Yes.
That's where, that's it. That's the outlet.
Yeah, let me just see.
Sure, but in the overhead view, right? What I've got in the overhead view is a long. What I have to imagine what this would look like from the front, don't I? And from the front, I can imagine
from
it being.
the front, we're not shooting direct light of sign directly head on. We're at an angle. If you go back to the distance pic, you'll see the angle that we're actually hitting and looking at that from.
I appreciate that, but what I'm saying is we're definitely not getting a bird's eye view of it like we're being presented in the pictures from Google Earth. So I've got to imagine how that's going to translate to what I'm looking at in your imagery.
Yeah.
And it's only because it's the first time I've viewed it. I'm just struggling, that's all. I'm just being honest.
Okay, no problem. Do you see it coming into view now? And you'll see these are the silo containers. So you can see precisely where we're looking.
Hold it on frame right now. So stop. Okay, perfect. So it's now on the left-hand side of the image. Okay.
Yep.
So if I go back over here to the overhead view with the outlet and these 8 cylinders.
Yeah, you'll see behind that is the buildings. You'll see if you follow that direct line of sight,
So
you know precisely what you're looking
if you can just rewind 2 seconds to put
Sure.
the outlet on the right and the buildings, the cylinder things on the left, because then I can hopefully
Sure.
make. Oh, okay.
So you see these?
Yes, they're pretty clear now.
Okay.
Yes.
So as we're coming down now, we're at 4 minutes 43. We're panning down now. Well, I mean, obviously, if you just go back before that, there's some more silo.
If you could just hit play just from here, because you pan across, don't you?
Just watch it. This is now at 4 minutes 22. Just watch. Those are the silo containers, and then you'll see it come into view. And that is located directly at 0 meters on the seabed at the other side at 8.181 miles. So you'll see we're now at 4 minutes 38, 4 minutes 39, and you'll see in a few seconds that outlet comes into view. Well, I mean, all of this anyway, but you see, there it is. That's that out.
See it, Nathan?
Yes, I can absolutely make it out. Now I've got my bearings, so to speak. If you can just pause it on that. Now that
That's what it's all about, getting your bearings, Nathan, yeah. But check all this out. Check it all out for yourselves.
Sure, it's just matching up blobs with blobs, isn't it? And you've got to kind of wrap your head around how what is on screen now translates to what is on screen now. And
yes,
now you've took me through it.
Nathan. Oh, sorry, go on.
It's all right. Now you've took me through it, I can now distinguish what you're talking about, and I know that I'm seeing to sea level.
Yeah.
Level.
The thing about the telescope, Nathan, is that in all my observations and tests, it's particularly when you start going up the magnification, because this is 169 times magnification. So this is what, like a quarter, a third more powerful than a Nikon P1000. But when you start hitting like 1,000 times magnification, the scope is so powerful, right, that you could be looking at something, depending on what the topography is. You could be looking at something that's as close as in the foreground as, say, 5, 10, 15 miles. And then stuff in the background is like 40 miles away. And it's like, so trying to just get that reference of where and what you're looking. But as soon as you find that reference point, you know precisely what you're looking at, everything makes sense, because from your direct line of sight and Google Earth, and then going into 3D mode, you can then just sort of see precisely where you are. And then, what picture So what do you want me to do? Shall I?
No. This is where you bask in glory. This is the stage where you go. So there you go. That was.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to swear.
We don't have to swear, but you just have to say, go through your. I mean, maybe rewind by 3 minutes, and let the video just play. And
You want to
we'll
watch
just
the whole
chit-chat.
thing again? Let's do it one more time, shall we? Just
Yeah, but we can just.
Why not?
You can let it scroll by, and we can just chit chat about it like we did in the pre-show. And
Yeah,
I'm sure Brian's
okay.
logic, who's had his hand up this whole time, has got something
Nathan,
to say.
are you screen recording this?
Yes.
Cool. Right. There we go. Back again. We're looking straight up where that bit juts out, and we're panning right across, and you'll see. And just wait until you get into Google Earth and check all this out.
Okay. Just hit play and just leave it playing. Perfect.
I will.
Perfect.
I'll shut up and everybody can have a chat. I'll just be quiet now.
Okay. So there's a couple of things, like I said, while we were mid-presentation, although I think it was John or myself, I can't remember who, pointed out in respect to the curve calculations. And then I peppered it after Arwin's interjection with all of the disclaimers about what the curve calculations are. But that's what I kind of want to discuss now. Because, like I said earlier, when you take this claim in isolation, there is nothing for us to claim as flat earthers. There is only the positive assertion of a physical sphere edge not getting in the way, and then the excuses that come with refraction. But they're going to need a flat plane to assert radial values for the refraction in terrestrial form, and they're going to need a flat plane to describe angles of elevation when they're detailing anything with respect to the celestial derivation or celestial sphere over a flat plane derivation that gives them the globe in the first instance. So that's kind of what I want to discuss alongside this glorious presentation that we've had from Foil Hatman, and alongside that, thank you for doing this, by the way, Foil Hatman. So yeah, opening it up to anybody on the panel who wants to discuss it. Maybe John, if he's still around.
Oh, I was going to let Brian, because he had his hand up. I didn't know if he.
We don't do that here, but yes, that is true. He was just pocket hand putting upping.
This video is awesome.
Oh.
It is. It's good stuff. We're seeing a very long distance in very good clarity, which up until now, people have gone, oh, it's just, they'd like to hand wave it because it's just blurry. You're like, well, here's 10 miles, and you can very much make out those silos or whatever they are that I had up on screen from Google Earth. You can see exactly what we're talking about. There it is. When we get to the outlet again, you can see how it's marked in Google Earth, what the heights are for all of these different positions, and then you get to see it on screen. Marvelous.
The scope is actually too powerful, Nathan. If I start going at some of the magnifications that I can use, it's too powerful for 8, 9, 10 miles, because you're just going to be zooming in and you're just going to go straight in through a unit building window, and it's pointless because you can't see. The maximum power magnification of the scope is only useful for stuff that's got some distance to it.
Well,
10 miles.
Do you know what seems apparent to me from looking at this footage? The first thing that it makes me think of is the fact that you're looking down. You're a very slight elevation, and yet it is apparent from the footage that there is stuff at the other end of this very vast distance slightly below you. So across a flat plane, you're going to have the same reference point to how high something in the distance is with respect to you. And it's, well, what, a couple of meters?
Yeah, actually, when you get into it and look at the Bristol Channel, once the tide's gone out, it actually has got a dip in it. It goes below sea level. But yeah, what's very interesting is being able to resolve everything from what would effectively be, probably 2-3 miles coming forward in the foreground, just over some puddles and stuff. But you can resolve everything all the way across, all to the banking, all the way up. You see everything, the lot.
Yeah, the thing is, like, if you had looked at this with your eye, it would have just been your horizon. You would have not seen any of this. You know?
Yeah, precisely, John. Is this? I honestly, I'm almost speechless here. Can you imagine the shock that me and my wife had? We were just, and then we had to keep an eye on the tide because the tide comes in furiously. we actually wanted to go out a little bit further and go out more in the seabed, but we realized it was just like I was saying last week, it was just too boggy. Do you know what I mean? It was like quicksand. So we only just managed to find this small isolated patch that was just about, it was still really boggy, but it was just enough to put some wood chocks underneath the tripod legs, and it wouldn't sink, and we wouldn't sink as well. But yeah, I mean, what did they say? A picture speaks 1,000 words. Well, what does a video say?
Good that it's got some obviously identifiable geographic features, and they're man-made, so designated very specific heights above sea level. That's kind of where I was hoping you guys on the panel were going to segue with my 2 attempted segues.
Does somebody want to point out where the Earth curve is here in any of this?
Nah.
Oh,
Go on.
no.
What's important is that what I pick out of this would be a bit different than maybe most people, but just on what tinfoil's presented, what's important is sea level, what they call sea level, is that what we're looking at is actually slightly below sea level, because sea level is when there's water there. So we're looking at sand that's actually slightly below sea level. That's what we're looking at.
Yeah, correct.
So when we're looking over to that outlet, we're looking directly at the sand at the front of the outlet. Like one of the suggestions I was going to make to tinfoil was that because these kind of observations have happened before, right? But using the zoom you have, even if you can't keep the iPhone on it all the time while you're zooming, if you could zoom a bit and show the image, take the iPhone off, zoom more, show the image, take the iPhone off, zoom more, show the image, take the iPhone off. And you could even do it over this short distance, where you're showing that you're zooming with your telescope to that sand that meets the rocks.
Understood,
or the
Brian.
water meeting the rocks. You don't worry about it. You don't have to have a continual video. You just need to be able to show, because what'll happen is the ballers will go mad when they see that. Now, they're going to have to claim all kinds of nonsense, but that is something that they have to say is impossible. Which is
understood, Brian. If I can just explain the situation. So the lowest magnification that I could achieve initially when first got the telescope, did this first observation stuff, the lowest I could go with what I had was 84 times magnification. So you're absolutely right, Brian. I'm starting with the telescope at the full magnification zoom of a P900. Are you with me? So
yeah, I understand.
So the reason I purchased a focal reducer, right? And what happens is you cannot, because of the C8 technical specifications of the scope itself, it's got a 38mm barrel. So what that means is that if you put an eyepiece that's higher than 38mm, you will get like a black spot develop in the middle, and it's very annoying. You can still kind of see everything that you're looking at, but it's just really annoying. So basically what the lowest magnification that you can get with that scope is with a focal reducer and a 38mm eyepiece, or like a 40mm eyepiece, and that will give you a starting point of about 31 times. So at the moment, I'm still just experimenting. At the moment, the lowest I can do is 41mm. I tried to go down to about 20, 25 times magnification, but it wasn't possible. You're just developing these black spots, and it's because of this. You can't go higher.
I understand that, because the scope is so. The starting point of the scope is like by 84, which is obviously a lot of zoom, and you needed to reduce that to be able to show what you want to show.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right, Brian. I was thinking it precisely along your lines, which is if I can get down to whatever the lowest the scope can do, and I know that it is about 31 times. Yes, at the moment it's about 40, but I know I can get it down to 31. Then that means, yes, you're right, Brian. I wouldn't be able to zoom, but what I could do is at 31 times magnification, take that shot, then go up to 40 times magnification, take that shot, go up to 50 times magnification, take that shot. Are you with me? And then just keep and creep up like that. And then we could literally zoom in to that outlet channel. We could go in and you wouldn't even be able to see anything because it'd just be crazy. But yes, you're right.
Well, yeah, you just need to go as far as the very. You just need to go as far as the rocks where the rocks meet the sand.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's all you need to do. Just showing that where the rocks meet the sand. That's all you need to do. Now, of course, the baller is going to try to hand wave it, because the point I would make about all this is I would go back to, not that I'm not looking for anyone to share it. If there's no need to share it, but the Walter Bislin calculator, where there you can bring up the refraction, right, which is not refraction, right, to max, which will then allow you to see any object regardless of the. So regardless of the. He has a setup, so regardless of the distance, it will allow you to when you bring the what he's calling a refracted gradient slider. I can't get the words out. Up to max, it'll allow you to see the object, right? Because, but what I would point out is. They need to have that, right? Obviously, right? But what Walter Bislin is doing there is what I showed to what the videos you watched in Foil of what over 6R actually is, which is the unbending of their globe. That's what it actually is. What Walter Bislin has is not the unbending of their globe, even though that's what he's trying to portray. What he has is a lot of nonsense to do with temperature and air pressure, which has nothing to do with what over 6R actually is. So when people are looking at his calculator for something, for an observation that you've shown, and they bring the thing up to max, and it makes it possible mathematically for that person to be able to see what you show, what they don't realize is that he's messing around with numbers to do with temperature and air pressure, when what over 6R actually is purely mathematical and has nothing to do with any of that.
Absolutely, Brian. Should I just very briefly just finish this presentation off, because I'm literally probably a couple.
Oh, I didn't know you weren't finished. I thought you were finished. Sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. It's absolutely fine, Brian. I'll just if I just finish off what I've got to say, literally another couple of minutes or so, 5 minutes, whatever, and then it's done. Can I do that? Shall I just carry on?
Free.
Okay, so I can't even remember where we got to. So we were looking at the outlet channels, weren't we? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, the last outlet channel.
Okay, so if Nathan, can you go to after the water outlet channel pictures in Master B? There's pic 32 is the fraudulent omni calculator. It's showing that the obscured object part from that distance and observer height elevation level should be nearly 9 meters according to the heliocentric model. Do you see this? Pic 32?
Yeah, it's been on. It's been on.
Sorry, could you just repeat that?
It's been on while you've been talking about it.
Right, okay, no problem. So next picture is back to the fraudulent Walter Bislin calculator. So that's showing the same, okay, again, but without this mathematical only refraction applied, right? So nearly 9 meters. The next picture is that fraudulent mathematical refraction applied ridiculously. It's still showing that nearly 7 meters of obscured object part should be hidden from view, even when you stick the standard refraction in this stupid thing, right? The next picture, like Brian was just describing, pic 35, you've got to go extreme mathematical only non-existent refraction being applied, yeah? And then that will bring that outlet channel nicely and conveniently back into view. So as far as I'm concerned, that is out and out direct fraud on us all. It's an absolutely pathetic attempt to bring what is mathematical in concept and then apply it somehow to reality. But as we've just seen, it's completely stupid, and you're hijacking our own eyeballs here. And it provides yet another example of how this parlor trick is now exposed. It's exposed. So if I may, I'd strongly urge any interested parties watching to view two absolutely tremendous videos from Brian's Logic detailing how in the mathematics this fraud has taken place. Not only that, as well, Quantum Eraser's superb video regarding, wait for it, terrestrial refraction. So hopefully maybe one of the moderators on Discord can provide those links for the audience members. All I'd say is that I am going to provide this this video recording to anybody who wants it. I need to get round to actually putting stuff on YouTube and on Odyssey. But if you've taken screenshot recording of that, Nathan, please feel free to share that. All of these pics, all of this videos, all of this information, please, far and wide. Everyone needs to be made aware of what the reality actually is on the ground, so to speak. So that's it, Nathan. I'm done for now.
Okay, I'm glad you brought up the Earth curve calculator again. In those calculations, whether you're using the advanced Earth curve calculator that applies the mathematical inflation of an R value, or the regular curve calculator, they have two parallel lines in it. One of them is eye level, which is a horizontal plane, and they have surface level, which runs parallel to it. Have you ever seen that before?
They both use level planes of reference. Is it? Yes.
Yeah, the surface level is what I want to get to. That eye level is running parallel to that surface level.
Yeah.
When they talk about the horizon physically obscuring something, what is the horizon?
Not Earth curve.
Well, I mean, how would you define it if you were going to just like if you wanted to tell somebody where the horizon is in your eyesight? What would you say?
A level plane.
Would you say it's where the surface level appears to meet the sky?
That's clearly what happens, John, when we look out and see it's where the perspective it meets, and then it creates a level plane. That's how I would see it and describe it.
Right. So to do any Earth curve calculations, first you have to accept that the surface level is a flat horizontal plane.
Agreed.
Perfect. I'm going to do a few announcements. So the two are kind of intertwined. The first is going to be in regards to Russian vids. So in one of the campaign videos I did, that did get released to the public, I specifically noted that Russian vids have been critical of me doing a campaign to replace a piece of broken electronics in this PC. It wasn't actually him. Now, shout out to Chronicles of the Cats, who got in touch with RV to clarify whether or not it was him, and it wasn't. And then big shout out to you, RV, as well, for getting in touch with me personally and having a nice little chit chat. It was lovely. In regards to it not being you. So just so you know, there are several Russian vids sock accounts that aren't him, that are fake accounts pretending to be him. And as it happens, one of his largest channels got wiped out, and then he's now in a position where some of the fake accounts that were taking up some of the popularity off his back are equal size to his actual channel, which is called, correct me if I'm wrong, They Live Truth, correct? I hope I've got his actual channel name right. If I've sent a load of people to a bloody troll account now, I'm going to kick myself so badly. I'm pretty sure his actual channel is called They Live Truth. You'll know straight away because it's got a whole ton of Russian vids videos on it and he uploads regularly. So there we go. So that's my first correction to that. Go ahead, whoever wanted to add something to that.
I just posted it in chat, so you were correct. It's They Live Truth. Yes.
Yes. Now, my bad, because I, at a cursory glance, didn't really pay attention to the channel name that had Russian vids in the name, and I know that's not his current name. And I just looked at the number of subscribers and went, yeah, that looks about right. So it must be him. So it's mine not doing my due diligence in that regard. So it is completely my bad that I was critical of Russian vids being critical of me e-begging, and he wasn't. Now, I didn't specifically ask if he endorsed or denied or was critical of me e-begging, because I'm sure he doesn't give a toss either way. So it wasn't really relevant to our discussion, which was more about Pallywood and various other things. Anyway, with that being said, I have just done, and hopefully, although my memory temperature on this GPU is a little bit high, the campaign is a complete success. I have now, I think someone else gave me a few quid as well, but I'm going to shout those people out. So massive shout out to all of the people who supported me via PayPal as well. I hope I have, at least by first name, so I'm not doxing you, shouted you out on some of the live shows that have preceded this, but I don't have that list in front of me right now. But there were several people. If you have contributed via PayPal, I do, if I haven't already, write you a personal email, and that is to say I send you a thank you and say how much I appreciate the fact that you've contributed via PayPal. So you should have, if you have contributed via PayPal, have received a message from me directly via email or via the PayPal system itself. But shout out to Anonymous Donor, thank you very much indeed, and another Anonymous Donor. It does actually give some names, Mobile Max 777, who we are familiar with. So Fixing Phoebe PC is the name that this person's given, and they just bunged me 100 quid. I really appreciate it. It was very much a stress reliever. Peter, thank you very much indeed for the $100 donation. Same for Jardo, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I Will Not Get the Jab, thank you very much for supporting the campaign, along with Rhett, really appreciate it. OBE Lines is the guy that got in touch with Russian Vids. So thank you very much for contributing, really appreciate it. Jenny Marcial, really appreciate your support. Thank you very much indeed. Michael Jones, same goes for you. American ERC, thank you very much. Really appreciate the support. Some of these that are a little bit older are because this campaign is merged into the one that paid for my failed hard drive. So I actually put a second 4 terabyte hard drive in, along with replacing a hard drive that had actually failed, that had the main operating system on. And it was like 10 days between the two failing, the graphics card being faulty, giving me black screens, and the hard drive failing and not letting me boot from it at all. Anyway, so might as well shout out those people as well. So shout out to Anonymous Donor again, Daniel Samanego. Hopefully I've said your name right. Sheila, really appreciate the support. Thank you very much indeed. Original D Rose and another Anonymous Donor, along with Michael Khan, thank you very much, and the Adam Meakin. Really appreciate all of your support, and obviously everybody who did share the campaign. As I always encourage people to do so, I may as well thank you, as there were several people who shared the campaign, and lots of people left prayers, which are like nice words that you can say about the campaign, about me, and I get to read all those messages. Thank you, all of you as well. I really, really appreciate that. Maybe other people don't thank their people who leave their prayers on Give Send Go, but it's essentially people assuring me that, you know, that you always have support, which almost brings a tear to the eye. I know I say it a lot, that I appreciate the amount of support I do get, which is ongoing, but I do, you know, and I said in one of the other campaign videos when I was pointing out that I no longer have an overdraft after a letter from the bank, I couldn't have done this, literally could not have done this without the support of the people that gave me the money to do it. Yesterday I handed over 580 quid, and that resolved the problem. Now the computer hasn't crashed. We're an hour and whatever we're in, 16 minutes into this, maybe a bit less because I started a minute or two early. But yeah, you know, an hour and 10 or so into a live stream, absolutely no hiccups whatsoever. I may stay live so I can stress the computer with a game or something, just to make absolutely certain that it's never going to collapse or fall over under any circumstances. But that is down to the people who watch the show regularly. And if you're in the live stream chat, you'll probably see them all going by right now. Those are all the people. Thank you, all of you chatters. You know exactly who you are, who support me. It means an awful lot. So yeah, thank you from the bottom of my heart, with all the sincerity I can muster. Anyway, that was it. Hopefully I shouted out everybody I need to shout out in that regard. I will keep you updated if there's any further issues. You'll hear me crying on camera if it does happen. But so far, so good. This seems good. Like I say, aside from slightly high memory temperatures, which are within tolerance, so I may not even do anything about them. Anyway, that's it.
Great. I really hope that all this calamity is finally behind you now then. And that you learned your lesson.
What lesson?
Of course you did.
How dare I accept the kindness of a subscriber who gave me a free PC? How dare it have a poor builder?
It's not saying that the whole thing was a mistake, but I'm just saying that you learn a lot about just like how assembling computers actually work. Things that
I
you
see what
kind
you're
of
saying.
probably overlooked at first, right? So
Okay,
you
I get
learn
what
a
you're
lot
saying.
about it.
I'll give you an example to qualify what you're saying, and it's true. Which is to say that this graphics card is not the same as the old graphics card. It is the same because it's a 4070. It's the same model, but from a completely different manufacturer, running different voltages and different clocks, with different VRM and different power delivery. It is a different product. But within an hour, I got my head around it, figured out where the clocks need to be and where the voltages need to be for it to run at 150 watts without crashing. And that was it. It took a couple of hours. Well, why did it take a couple of hours? Because I've spent 14 months learning how to do it. Failing. But now that I've got a card that's not actually faulty in the case, it took me literally a couple of hours. That's including testing last night. And at the end, I was like, it hasn't crashed once. It's not like, oh, I've got to rearrange it. Every time I did it with the old one, it would be like, you test it, it seems to work for 2 straight hours. Then it black screens, and you're like, well, now I've got to go back to the drawing board. Well, if something's faulty, you will inevitably do it forever. You'll never find the point of stability. It's faulty. Well, that was the case I was in with the most recent addition to the computer. Prior to that, the cooler wasn't attached to the case. Then the memory, because there was too much in the machine, and it was in a passive machine, it just cooked itself. Same with the PCIe cable, which gets very hot in a passive case. It burnt out. Believe it or not, a PCIe case, PCIe lead, whatever you call it, riser cable, does carry power and gets very hot. All problems that had to be resolved and should have been resolved by the person that the very generous subscriber who bought the PC should have done when they built it. The builder, who he paid to build it, should have resolved every single one of those problems. And if they weren't resolvable, they should have spec'd different components. Well, they didn't. I've had to learn how to do it, and I'm not a PC builder. But it is a journey of discovery that has led me to the point where I'm reasonably confident I can stick a new product inside it, even like I just have today and yesterday, and have it work within a couple of hours, because I know what I'm doing. But I shouldn't. I'm not a computer guy. I shouldn't know what I'm doing. I shouldn't know how to tune the voltage of a graphics card. But I do. But there we go. Very useful, Arwin. I'll forget about it immediately. Once this computer succeeds to not fall over for an entire week, I will disregard every bit of that from memory until the next time, and I'll learn it all again if I ever have to.
Right, and if you do this frequently enough, then eventually you'll be able to like get a computer repair shop on the
Thanks.
side.
No, I'm good. Shout out to Craig, who helped me. Really appreciate it. Yeah, he's been a great guy. And I said to him at one point when he had the computer open yesterday, I could not do this. Now, he obviously went, oh, well, I'm just going through the motions. I've done it for so like me with a debate. Once you've got a skill set and you go through the motions, you can just do it. It's second nature. Well, that's him with computers. I am not that guy, and I don't want to be that guy. No disrespect to Craig. I couldn't do it. It's too stressful.
Fingers crossed.
It's always too stressful when you're not in that position.
Just to get back to that debate you had, the guy wanted to go to the binocular view of Saturn, kind of as a red herring away from the plane he was using to get his mathematics, you know. I'm not sure what you were meaning about it being two-dimensional. Can you go into that more? Because I didn't understand that point.
We don't know whether it's three-dimensional or not because our view of it is two-dimensional through a telescope.
Right. Okay. But the way he rephrased it, or the way that I caught it, and then was you were claiming it was two-dimensional. You were saying that the image you see is two-dimensional.
On the contrary.
Because it's from a telescope.
When he paraphrased back to me, are you saying it is two-dimensional? I repeat, you do not have binocular vision to it. And he's saying, so you're saying it is two-dimensional? Oh, not three-dimensional. I'm like, well, have I confirmed that with my binocular vision? In other words, I intentionally repackaged his question each time he put it to me so that I'm not in a position to make the positive claim of what it is at all. I don't know was my initial answer. I stick by that. I don't. But in terms of what I do know about it, it does not confirm three-dimensionality beyond what they assert with orbital mechanics taken from a flat plane. Beyond that assertion, which requires a flat plane and proves that Earth is flat, to assert that you're on a globe. Check out the videos. orbits prove a flat Earth. But beyond that claim, well, what do I care? Well, it's three-dimensional. Says you. Prove it. Well, you're saying it isn't, and I'm not saying anything.
Right. Well, he kept on trying to take the way that orbital mechanics is calculated from the ground, and then move that ground to Saturn and put it in, make Saturn the plane of reference, and have the rings orbit around. So he's trying to move you to space, to explain Saturn's rings, which I thought was kind of
Cute.
funny,
Well, it's cute, isn't it? Well, I know I've used a plane. I know it's what we're referencing. But that we are referencing, I can justify as being imaginary. Now that we've used the imaginary flat plane, I imagine, to reference, to imagine on a globe, I then detach myself from said flat reference plane that's imaginary, that I derive a globe from, and then put myself in space on a flat reference plane at Saturn to describe the orbital motion that isn't observed or detailed from this position anymore. But now I'm nowhere near the flat plane that I had to imagine to get here.
I thought that was cute. It was a nice red herring away from the plane of reference to go right back into it.
Okay, I've got one more disclaimer to make, right, as we're still live. So up until now, 14 months, this would be the point that I would stress the computer by basically just playing a game. And that is, to all intents and purposes, a very graphically intense thing for a computer to do. Hence, it's a good stress test. Now, the disclaimer is that because the computer has never been stable in 14 months, I've been playing the game I used to stress test for 14 months. Now, I'm not suggesting that I'm suddenly a really good Fortnite player. That is not the case. But anybody who happened to see me playing Fortnite and go, oh, I actually quite enjoyed that, there is a good chance that that won't happen from today forward. Because I'm hoping that I will get to the end of a game of Fortnite, still live, still recording, still being able to see what's on my screens. And then if I can do that 2 or 3 more times, I can confidently then mirror my operating system and have a backup, because the computer is then, quote, stable. Now, that's never happened. So this is quite tense moments for me. But in the next, I don't know, let's call it quarter of an hour, please chat amongst yourselves. And if you hear me screaming, cursing and swearing, and from the audience's perspective, the stream ends, you'll know that I'm going to probably go and do something I shouldn't to myself or the computer. But anyway, I just wanted to make that little disclaimer. On the other hand, this might be the last time you see game footage. Unless I want to put something pretty on screen by committing suicide and just letting the spectator part of the game play out. Anyway, that's that disclaimer out of the way. Hopefully this is, like I say, the last time people will be seeing Fortnite footage on a Flat Earth live stream. But that's why, and that's now been explained to anybody who never really understood why there's been game footage for the last year and a bit.
On what you were talking about a few minutes ago, to do with the conversation the other day, Bacon, I think it was, said, and he said, XYZ doesn't work on the plane, right? And you agreed with him because you weren't listening to what he's saying. And the same with the next guy. He said some things, I can't remember exactly what he said, but I remember picking up on it immediately when I heard it. And they were getting little agreements, because that's what they do. They say things in a kind of an off-center manner, and people just kind of agree with them when they're not listening, when they're not hearing the little thing they're saying. Just agree with them, and that little agreement to them is a little win. They have to listen to what they're saying, because they got you to, both you and John, to agree with them.
I got you.
I think 2 or 3
twice. The one time I did.
It was them actually trying to hijack reality.
No, I got it.
themselves.
You did it once, and I did catch it, and then on the replay, I listened back and like, bastard, because they get you. Once you've heard the bit that I want to agree with, obviously I've kind of switched off or started talking like people do. But the one time he did it, he was like talking about the XYZ, basically the horizontal reference plane he's going to need to describe orbits. And then he says tangent just as I start talking. And I caught it and went, oh. But there was another time that I didn't, and you're right, Brian. And it wasn't that I'm not listening, although it was, because I was very distracted with the computer potentially failing at that particular moment. Like I say, that's why this is kind of hopefully going to be a turning point day, because my focus isn't 100% on the show. It's always thinking about what's over my right shoulder in regards to whether the computer's going to succeed for the whole show or not. You know what I mean? So I've been distracted for 14 months, and I need to get back onto being 100% focused on what we do on the show.
But that's why I addressed tangent specifically, because he invoked the tangent, which means surface level would have to be a horizontal plane of reference.
But what they do,
Yeah, but hold on. No, the moment they invoke tangent, you just have to point out that the only way you can invoke a tangent is if surface level is a horizontal plane of reference. That's how the mathematics work. So, yeah, he didn't get by with nothing. He fell into a trap as far as I could see. Because to assert a tangent, you need surface level, the ground you're standing on, to be a horizontal plane of reference.
Yeah, but what they did, both of them did, is Bacon did it first with the XYZ. He said, but XYZ doesn't work on a plane, on a flat plane, right? Completely hijacking. If you listen back, John, that's what he says. But he says it in such a way where he kind of says it in a very matter-of-fact kind of way. And because you and Nathan were focused on getting him to a different position, you just agreed with it. But that's what they do.
No.
These little offhand comments, and that gets people to agree with them. And then in their own head, they've hijacked for an audience XYZ for a sphere when it has nothing to do with a sphere.
No, he agreed that he was getting it from a plane of reference.
That's not what he said about XYZ. He tried to hijack it, and he got you and Nathan to agree. To go yes.
So when Nathan said from a horizontal plane, and they said yes, that was them disagreeing that they were getting it from a horizontal plane.
It's what they added on after. Within the next breath, he's adding on the tangent like it's assumed to be there. Well, it is assumed to be there. That's the point. He's begging the question of it, but then later denying the existence of the flat plane by saying, well, that bit's imaginary.
Right, but the tangent itself requires surface level to be a horizontal plane for them to assert it. So it's just another trap for them to fall off of. There's no getting out of this. John,
I was literally listening to it yesterday, and I had to turn it off yesterday evening because I started getting angry. Because I was hearing these little things they were saying, and they knew that they were getting them past the radar.
What's this? This isn't my trimmed out video, is it?
It was the 30-minute video that you
the unedited one
yesterday.
You mean the one that was just the two guys, one after the other, without any edits?
Bacon and the next guy,
Okay. The one, especially the second guy, is intentionally trying to get stuff past us, isn't he?
Well, they were both doing it. In the way they were speaking with kind of low tones and just kind of gradual, matter-of-fact kind of statements, but in a low tones, so it gets past you. You don't pay attention to it. It's like a little. It's like a spell, like a little word game.
Just take this on the chin, John. Let's just hear him out.
Yeah, it's what they do. It's what they're at, the position they're at now, and have been at for quite some time, where they like to throw in something that seems nonchalant and get an agreement on it, and they have a little smirk on their face then when they get that agreement. No matter what point you're making after that, they've gotten you to agree to something that you wouldn't, if you'd listened to it, you wouldn't agree to.
That's the bit that's going to get John and my backup, that we're not listening. Me, you can criticise of that because, like I say, I've got a second eye on my computer at the time. It even crashed. During it. The end of that was marked because of a crash of the computer. So yes, you can criticise me of that, but John's going to keep piping up because he's he's not going to tolerate you going, you weren't listening to them, because he was.
Well, I know I got angry. I had to turn it off. Actually, it was just at the end when I turned it off. I didn't realize it was just at the end, but I had to turn it off because I was like, no, I was angry because what's happening is you were focusing so much on wanting to make the one argument. You were missing these little things they were throwing in. Both of them were throwing in.
We weren't making an argument. That's what you're missing. There was an argument being made.
No, you were focusing on the argument you were trying to make. That's the point.
No, we weren't making an argument. There was no argument being made. They were wanting to argue, but there was no argument being made.
Well, not an argument then. You were trying to get your point out. That's what you were trying to do. And that's what you were focused on. And when you're focused on that, that's when they throw in these little things. That's their little wins. Those little things.
Points. Like when they say, they said tangent several times. I addressed that.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all. I didn't say that.
Then what did they say? Then what did they say that I didn't address or cited?
Well, I can't remember what the second guy, I think he did two things, but the first guy, Bacon, he said, XYZ doesn't work on a plane. And you and Nathan went, yes, and carried on with the thing. You didn't hear him say it because he said it in such a way.
I'll take fair enough. I'll take that on the chin.
Forget it.
No, I agree, Brian. I'll take that on the chin. It's John that's being critical of you in that regard. I've already said, yeah, fair enough. I agree. I wasn't really paying 100% attention. I'll agree with you. And you can hear it.
But, well, hold on. But Bacon specifically said he was using a horizontal plane of reference to get his XYZ coordinates in that same conversation.
Right.
So, which was it? Was it him backsliding on what he stated to begin with, or what he confirmed to us? Well, I don't get what you're saying. He's explicitly said he's using a horizontal plane of reference to get his XYZ coordinates in a Cartesian system.
He has no choice. He's using XY. He has no choice. He threw in XYZ doesn't work on a flat plane. That's what he said. And he said it in such a way, it was such kind of matter of fact, just a little kind of a matter of fact comment that he hoped you would agree with, and you did.
You think I agreed with that statement? You're going to have to cite that because I don't think that's true at all.
Yeah, I've got to be honest. I wasn't paying 100% attention, but I don't remember agreeing with him saying XYZ doesn't work on a flat. It's like, that is a flat plane. What are you babbling about? If that's what he said and I didn't catch it, again, I'll take it on the chin, but I don't remember that. But I'm obviously not going to if I wasn't paying 100% attention.
You see, it's their game these days is not the big wins. It's these little wins when they're trying to hijack things. See, it's all about hijacking of reality. And that little comment of XYZ doesn't work on a flat plane, that's a little hijack. That's what that is.
But see, the thing is,
they do it outside of the main point.
Hold on. Go ahead, Brian.
They're doing it outside of the main points to get little wins. And they are those little comments that you will miss when you're focused on a point that you're trying to get to happen or get to speak about. And they'll throw them in there. And if you don't catch them, then they'll have a little smirk on their face. And that's how they work. That's where they're at.
I think I know what you're talking about. You're talking about right before he left, and the other guy took up the mantle and he ran away. He yelled it out as he left, and then he ran away. That's what you're talking about. Because in the beginning, and for several times.
This is not at the very end. This is in the middle of a conversation with you and Nathan.
In the beginning, several times, he detailed how he would be using a plane of reference. And he confirmed it several times.
Yeah, but he's not denying he's using a plane of reference. But then he's denying the XY is the XYZ that will be part of that is the coordinate system. He said XYZ doesn't work on a flat plane. And he just threw that in there. And for anyone who doesn't know any better, and you agreed, will then think, oh, XYZ doesn't work on a flat plane.
I didn't even hear that. I edited the video, Brian. I edited the video and I didn't even hear him say that. So if you're saying some audience member's going to hear that and react badly, I edited it and I can't even remember hearing him saying that.
I heard it.
Just give us a timestamp and we'll go back and have a listen.
Exactly.
I'll
That's what I
find it.
want to hear. Because it sounds, that doesn't sound like that happened.
You're saying he subtly
But
dropped it in there,
maybe I'm
mate?
wrong.
Yeah, he subtly dropped it in. So he's agreeing to a flat plane, use of a flat plane, but then he's saying the coordinate system, he's trying to, it's an angle that to try and push that the coordinate system that he's using that has a flat plane doesn't work on a flat plane. That's what he was trying to do. It was really, really underhanded. You know, this kind of matter of fact, oh, well, XYZ doesn't work on a flat plane, this kind of thing. And he said it in such a kind of he said it a kind of low tones, and it was like, that's their little wins. Those little things. It's like, sorry, what did you say there? You know, those little things, they are the things. And that's what he did. And the next fella did the same. I can't remember what points he made, but he did the same similar thing. I think 2 times. If not, at least 1, if not 2. Where he said stuff and he wasn't pulled on it because it wasn't directly the focus. But he's thrown in these little things that are little wins, let's be honest, let's say. And that gives them a little smirk. Because they're hijacking reality and you're agreeing to it. It's like, it's like they're getting you to sign a contract.
Quit saying it and cite it. Like you keep saying it, like it's going to be true. Cite it now.
Oh, we're all friends here. He's got time. He can dig it out. Not now, but whenever. I'm happy to look at it. If I've missed it and he's dropped it in that subtly that I've missed it whilst editing it, then I'll be like, fine. But Brian's point isn't to say that we haven't, maybe he's hinting at our lack of vigilance, but a little bit. But by the same token, if they have to drop these subtle things in to get a perceived bit of pain relief, perceived win, aka pain relief, then so be it. If you've got to do it that subtly that it's not going to be a debated point, it's just in there in the midst of the recording. All right, I'll let him have it. All right, okay. You say XYZ doesn't work on a plane. XYZ is a plane. But if we missed it, we missed it.
Right. Yeah, I want to hear it because I've also listened back to it and I didn't hear that. So now I heard them make little comments as they ran away. But what's the point in talking to somebody that ran away?
In any event, please check out those videos. So they're called, in all different lengths, Orbits Prove a Flat Earth. There's a shorts, there's a 10-minute version, which is a reasonably heavily edited down, so it's concise enough to have the entirety of the argument, but with fairly big chunks cut out. Maybe including him saying XYZ doesn't work on a flat Earth, or something like that. But nevertheless, there's also the 30-minute version, which is basically unedited. It is, because it's got to be kept tidy. But to all intents and purposes, it's unedited. Okay. We all good? No response. We all good? Brian disappeared. My computer crashed. What's going on?
No,
Something's going on with
I think I'm a little bit irritated. Is why I'm staying quiet.
Tiny little sign of instability going on one of my tabs. Maybe need to make a minor little fine adjustment, but for the most part, I would say that this computer's worked perfectly.
Nathan,
Could that be a software issue?
Again? One more time, John.
I said that might be a software issue, though, right?
It's just one of the Google Chrome tabs. Just is slightly flickering at the top edge of it. Could be a software issue. Just to be on the safe side, I'll lower the frequency by 1 notch. But it tells me all I need to know. I've done an hour and a half-ish live, some of it under great stress, and the computer seems absolutely happy as Larry, I would say. Doesn't seem to be doing anything weird.
You can hear me, Nathan?
Yes, did you want to make some summary? Because I'm about to round out the live show and ask people to stay tuned if they're watching on an after show.
I just wondered if you wanted to do next Wednesday again. I could come back and we could try and just iron out a few technical things and then just come back next Wednesday.
As I say, there's with anybody who joins, there is absolutely no obligation, and also it's an open door. Now you're slightly different because you're in the G Plus panel, but by the same token, yeah, it's always going to be a yes. If you turn up and you've got something to show, we'll be looking at it. Let's put it that way.
Okay, no problem. It's just that Wednesdays typically work for me, so that's
Yeah,
great.
good.
No
If
problem.
it ends up being a Wednesday, that sounds good to me.
Cool.
With that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Programming Streams, camera working? Yes, it is. Hooray. Happy days. Then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you. Smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. Another thank you to Foil Hatman for making today's presentation. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!